Okay, gonna record a quick video going over the phenomenon in Dustforce known as left friction. So, the important stuff to pay attention here will be the velocity and speed, I guess. The left number here on velocity is going to be my x speed, and that's what we care about for these examples. So first, let's watch this replay. So, I'm going to get a slope boost, I'm going to dash. Dashing will lock my speed, so you can see I have 1766 speed. So you can see on in-state dash, the dash is going to end soon, and then I'll go into state run. And your normal maximum run speed is 522 it's units per second, I think. So there I spent a couple subframes not in dash, so my speed decreased a little bit, so I'm at 1746. And now you can see next frame, it goes to 1796. So it basically decreases by 50. And so the way this works is it decreases asymptotically towards 522, which is your normal run speed again. So the further you are away from it, the harsher the friction penalty is per frame. So it's going to keep going here. Now instead of being 50, it's like closer to 40 or 35. And then as we go down more and more, you can see I'm holding right here still. Now it's about like 30. Then eventually goes down to being like 25. Then eventually it's down to being like 20 or 15. And then eventually, as we get closer and closer, we're going to hit 522, and it's just going to bottom out, and we're at 522. And then I'm just going to keep running, and then I hit the end trigger. So now we're going to watch the same thing going left. So same thing. Going to dash super late after landing on the slope. 1773 this time. And here the transition to state run happens. I spend a couple subframes, I lose like 20 speed. Now 1753, 1703, it's dropping about 50 per frame again, and it's pretty much identical all the way down. As we approach 522, it becomes less and less per frame, and then we hit 522, and it evens out, and then we hit the end trigger. Cool. Makes sense so far? Hopefully we're good. So, now, what if I change this? And instead of landing and being on the ground and being in state run, I'm in the air. So let's watch the same thing. I'm going to land. I'm going to go in state dash. You can see here I have 1796 x speed going towards the right. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here I transition to state hover. I spend a couple subframes. So I'm at 1771. And now the same thing's going to happen. There I lose about 60 x speed. There I lose a little bit, like 55. There it's about 50. About 50 again, and you can see it's pretty much the same thing. I'm holding right this whole time, and it'll go down until you hit 522 again. You could cross-reference this if you wanted, but it's basically the same reduction as you would expect. There I hit the end trigger, and it goes into the slowdown, so I actually don't end up hitting 522 here, but you get the point. Doesn't need to be too exact of a science there, right? It's basically the same experience as we just had. Nothing's too different. So now, what if I do that same thing, but this time I'm going left in the air? So you can see here I dash. So this is because I'm still diagonal on the slope, is that my speed shows as 1277 here, but my speed is the actual 1807. So you can see once it levels out, then it transfers all into x speed. So that's how you transfer slopes or speed from slopes into flat ground, is you just do the transition in dash state or whatever. Okay, so 1807. Okay, so there I had about a drop of 50. I transitioned into state hover. So now how much do you think this is going to drop next frame? Based on our knowledge that we've gained previously, we would expect this to drop somewhere around 50 to 60, right? I'll go down to like maybe 1690 or something. No, I'm at 1648. It drops like an extra 50 than what you expect. So the reason this happens, and this, so I lost double the speed in that frame as I did compared to the other example going right. And now I'm still going to lose about 100. Still about 100, still about 100, still almost 100, about 90 now, still about like 90, about 80 there, and it's dropping super much, way faster. And then not only does it drop and stop at 520 speed, or 522 as you would expect, but because the friction reduction is so severe, it drops you below 522. And so for the rest of this fall, I'm actually moving slower than I would be if I had just run off of this and then continued holding left. So my speed got reduced as well. So the reason this happens is that the friction calculation when you're in the air doesn't compare for the asymptotical, like how harsh the friction should be in slowing you down. It's not. It's based on your speed from 522 speed, but it's 522 positive speed, as in the rightwards x direction. So if you're moving left, you have a much bigger gap compared to a positive 522 speed because you're basically going negative speed compared to if you're going right. So when I'm going right at like 1800 or 1700 speed compared to 500, that's like a 1200 difference or whatever. But if I'm moving left, I have 522 plus the 522 of going left, so that's already like 1044. And then plus another like 1300 on top of that. So I'm going like 2300 compared to 1200. So it's almost double. It's basically double that you get double the speed penalty, and it's per frame. So uh, if it takes like, let's say it takes like 20 frames to slow down going right, to go from 1700 down to like 522. I don't know if it's 20. I'm just making up a number for example. If you're going left, it's probably like 8. It's like less than half. It's much more strict. So what it means is if you're optimizing and you have to move left in the air, if you have a boost, you have to be in dash state. If you're not in dash state, you're going to lose the boost like no matter what you do, and it's impossible to keep a boost going left if you're not dashing and holding the speed through that. So yeah, that's a fun quirk of Dustforce that you probably never knew about, and it's actually not that noticeable in gameplay unless you know it exists, kind of. I don't know why that happens, but anyway, it's a fun thing to have to optimize around when tasking and things like that. So fun Dustforce quirk there that is it's become a meme. Left friction. It's a funny quirk. That's all I got. Hope you learned something.